glad to hear that.
It being 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting in order, pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We had our agenda submitted to us in advance. Any additions or changes to the agenda? If not, I entertain a motion.
So moved, approve the agenda.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say same sign. Previous minutes, board meeting of January 24th, almost forgot how long ago it was, but board meeting, any additions or corrections to that?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. The work group session, I believe that has to do with the joint meeting. Any additions or corrections to that?
Move to approve.
There a second?
Second.
Further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Public comment. Anybody on the screen? No. Public comment at this time. No public comment. We're gonna have the EDA annual report at the conclusion of the meeting. Allison, so consent agenda. 3 items are there. Any question, thought, comment?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda. I'll second it.
Further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Action items. First one to be on here is approving Houston County Hauler license renewal for Generation X construction for the year 2023. So moved. Okay, so moved. For a second.
Second.
Discussion. There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Good. Number 2 is consider scheduling a public hearing, consider a moratorium on the sale of edible cannabinoid products and or hemp derived with THC, food and beverages within the county of Houston. John and Sam.
Morning, Commissioners. I'll hand out, my vote on the draft of in your packet, you got a draft of,
Different from this one.
proposed, a draft with proposed notice of hearing. That is a rough draft. There's a couple of things, that we have to change, but it gives you an idea where we're going for. This request comes out of the Joint Board of Health meeting with Fillmore County. Just kind of go over if the board would direct my office and John's to move forward public health with a public hearing. The board would wish to do that to consider taking some testimony regarding a proposed moratorium. Public health is currently working to identify known retailers in the county. It would be planned to send a public hearing notice to them as well as each cities in Houston County. The notice would be posted at the historic courthouse and the Meyer building where public health is. But also going to direct IT to post a public hearing notice on the county's website. And then there would be a proposed draft that you received today would be in the packet for the board hearing. Public health would work with our staff here in Houston County to collect written comments regarding from constituents prior to the public hearing and have those included in the board packet prior to the public hearing. I did have a chance to speak with the Houston County Sheriff's Office regarding today's meeting and the agenda request today, and it informed of them the need to plan for logistics of a public hearing if the court or if the board would request that one be scheduled. My understanding of the notice requirements that the earliest date that we could have a public hearing would be February 28th. And just kind of go a little bit farther ahead, just so you understand a little bit more broadly, if a moratorium is put in place by the board, a study committee must be established. And that time, I'd be requesting the board, if a moratorium was put in place, to clarify its charge to the members of the committee and regarding, and I can get into that in just a second regarding, I guess I could do that now, is it looks like for whatever it's worth, what we'll be studying is what I like to call time, place, and manner regulations, such as hours of operation, restrictions on locations, whether it's these businesses can be near schools, churches, daycares, nursing homes, that type of issues of what would be studying. And at a minimum, we would be recommending representation, public health, human services, my office, the sheriff's office, environmental services, at least one board member, members from the affected municipalities, as well as affected businesses and or community members. And so the board wants to direct that a public hearing be drafted regarding or be scheduled regarding the public hearing. And then those are the steps that we would be taking prior to the public hearing. I guess specifically to zero in a little bit more regarding that public hearing notice, was this be something that you'd want to schedule outside of your regular meeting? I know oftentimes when you have other ordinances, you'll recess the public hearing like today, go into a regular meeting, you recess that, and then you'll have the public hearing, and then you'll go back into the regular meeting to decide whether you want to adopt the ordinance or not. Sometimes these things are held at night or to increase attendance. I guess I just a little food for thought there when you're making a decision regarding how you want to direct that notice for the public hearing. That is one question, at least I had. John may have some more, but that's the one question I had. You do, it's just which time do you want it? Do you want to do it during a regular meeting on a Tuesday? Do you want to do it on a Tuesday night? Do you want to do it? How do you want to do that public hearing? And I don't believe there has to be one public hearing. You could have two at different locations, whatever you think would be appropriate. I guess that's what we come to you for now.
I think an evening meeting would be better for people to attend.
Okay.
I agree. Now, you said the 28th is the date that came up.
The earliest date.
Is that the earliest it could be? What
Correct.
I'm suggesting the night before, have the public and then be able to vote right away. That's what we thought. The 14-day noticing and stuff, how does that fall?
I believe, it's a good question, but I believe we could do it. We had the public hearing prior to it. It's just the vote on the moratorium would have to occur after the 28th.
So it'd be a March meeting.
Yeah,
March 7th.
Be the next available voting date. This is on the 28th.
Right.
But is it possible on the 27th
I-
evening thereof?
I would suggest no. I would suggest no.
Alright. Because, I just look at the importance of this topic.
Yeah, I hear you. It'd be nice to get it voted in, get it started right away. If that's what's gonna happen. We don't know.
No. I think we behoove us to do it correctly though, too. The question.
Just go through the right channels.
Do we have an idea then of a date that would work then, the evening of the 28th, or do we want to have what day of the week is best for evening meetings. That's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday.
Be 2 weeks from today. No, 3 weeks from today. That's why I was wondering how long. You won't get the paper until next week, and then that 14-day deal is kind of the,
Well, like I said, that's my understanding is to meet the requirements for the publication, the 28th to be the first day.
That's the earliest date you could have.
what's the feeling?
We gotta get going.
I think, I'm fine with Tuesday evening at 6, 7 o'clock. I don't know. What you guys think? You got something planned or?
And then we'll sit on it until the following Tuesday to take any action.
Well, we can't take
I mean,
action.
we can't.
We can't take action at
We just
the
take in
public hearing.
Correct. You're just getting input in.
our input. To me, I don't have any problem with it, at the 6 o'clock on the 28th evening thereof. And also, I like to comment that in addition to our official paper, that was pointed out, the website, perhaps an extra ad in the Caledonia Argus because of the magnitude of this. Much information, that extra paper. I think it would be prove us to make it well known, to be honest.
I think our intent is to try and get that information out to as many people as possible prior to the 28th.
So,
What is your feelings, John, on the Tuesday night meeting? Is that be okay for you guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Seems like Mondays and Thursdays are basketball games and everything else, and then Wednesday's church night, so.
Tuesday
Be the best night.
basketball night too.
Yeah, sometimes it is too. So.
And of course, it's in our notice indicated if someone wanted to appear to provide comment like you allowed today for public comment, they could appear via Zoom if they weren't for some reason able to attend. As well as we'll be collecting written submissions as well.
We wanna have that here?
That would be my intent would be because we know the logistics for Zoom and stuff work here, so you'd be able
Yeah,
to.
we could have it here.
I think this is,
You think we'll have a big enough crowd that we wanna go to the basement of the Justice Center?
You know, maybe after we make this notice and
We'll get a
I
feeling.
start getting feedback, I'll get a sense for how much space you would need.
Notice is gonna advertise where the meeting's gonna be.
What I would do is I'll talk with IT and if we would need an overflow space that someone could participate or view it via ITV, I'll see if that's possible. So the main meeting would be here, but maybe we have an overflow space.
And then we'll have a sign up sheet, so anybody that comes to the meeting that wants to talk, signs up so that they can have their voice heard.
so we agreed on the 28th at 6 p.m. The logistic would be here.
Do we need a motion on any of this, or just like I said?
I think we need more.
I would request a motion directing us to do that.
And then add in extra paper and stuff. Is that acceptable to the group? So is there a motion? I'll move.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Have
Then I'll
a public
second for
hearing on the 28th, 6 p.m. in the commissioners.
And I second it. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried. Public hearing accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approving request to request proposals for Houston County Historical County Courthouse roof replacement, test.
Morning, Commissioners.
Right.
Morning.
Yes, I believe we're ready to move forward. You have a draft of the proposed RFP. We're starting to actually hear from contractors. We got a email of interest yesterday, so I expect that we will have a good response. We would like to get this posted and get moving forward. We would put dates in there, in that document, so that the timeline is reflected there. It'd be posted in a similar fashion that Highway posts theirs, and that we will use the website that's commonly used by contractors called Quest. As well as posting in the paper, and then I will look to do direct emails to companies to let them know that we have a proposal out there.
I think the quicker we get this going, the better. It's early in the season yet. I get favorable bids.
It seems rather. Did Collaborative Design come up with this RFP or?
Yes, it covers the alternative request for, so we're requesting for a composite shingle, as well as I believe a metal. And there are some items in there that likely we won't be addressing, but if they come across something that has historical value, they're supposed to remove it in a manner that doesn't damage that. I don't know that we're going to have a whole lot of, we're not asking for replacement or repair of any of it. I don't know that there's a whole lot left up there, a couple finials. It gives quite a bit of detail as to how, so we can have an apples to apples comparison between contractors.
Just seems rather complicated. The detail of it,
Well, it's a complicated roof to begin with some of the issues that are up there. There is a lot of detail as to the drawings that should answer. We're going to hold a non-mandatory, but I would expect that any contractor that's interested in it would be their non-mandatory meeting. And we'll do it virtually to where they can ask any and all of their questions. Certainly, any of you commissioners that wish to attend that meeting, you'd be welcome to do so. The engineer will be there to answer any questions regarding that. We won't really know the state of the roof until, of course, they get into it, but I have the understanding it's not preliminary inspections show that the subroof structure is in sound shape. There may need to be some underlayment, some replacement in some areas, but the actual structure supporting it is in good shape from the inspection they could do so far.
so it's clear, it's going to be clear that this isn't going to be held for historical significance.
Well, this building is on the National Register. We would like it to be done in a way that doesn't damage any of the historic design that's left, but we are not holding it to a standard of historic replacement at all. That is very clear.
Any other questions, thoughts?
You read every page, there's a lot of them. As far as have to move forward. I thought we were already past this stage and advertised, but if that's the case, I'll make a motion to move forward and do the request for proposal for the historic courthouse roof replacement.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
it. Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carry. Get this roof taken care of before it hurts itself.
Commissioners, thank you very much. I'll let you know the date of the information meeting, so that those who want to attend.
Thank you. Okay, consider approving merchant's bank credit card due to the bank change, okay, so I just, all mine here. So, anything we need to talk about on this, girl?
Nope. Pretty much replacing the ones that we had,
And if,
couple new ones.
and then we sign this and get this back to you, this document here that we read it, okay? Is there a motion? Is
Make a motion to approve the merchant's credit cards.
there a second? So moved. Second, so any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
I'll abstain, 'cause I don't have.
Or consider approving the request to attend the AASHTO annual meeting in Indianapolis from November 12th to 16th, 2023, instead of the previously approved meeting in Fort Worth, Texas. A conference, hotel, transportation be paid for MnDOT state aid. Believe there was an error on the point of MnDOT giving us the wrong place there, Brian. Anything you want to add to that?
That's correct. So originally I got told by MnDOT that they would pay for the cost to attend the ASHTO Resource Technical Conference or Technical Exchange in Fort Worth, Texas. When I got back in touch to the person that actually does the bookings for MnDOT, they said, nope, actually it's the ASHTO conference in Indianapolis, Indiana in November. So it's a change of location. The one in Indianapolis is actually even a bigger conference than the one that's down in Texas. So it's one of their biggest, or I believe their biggest conference that they have in the nation each year. So like the Fort Worth, Texas approval that it came in for a couple weeks ago, this is paid for fully by MnDOT state aid.
So who's paying for the Fort Worth, Texas trip then?
So I will not be going to the Fort Worth, Texas trip. I will be going this one instead if the board approves this.
So they're basically the same education things and different location, different dates, I assume too, because of the similarity between the two.
Yes, this is in November. The other one would have been in April, I believe.
Well, I'll make a motion that he switch to Minneapolis.
For a second,
Second.
further discussion. There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carry.
Thank you.
And that care of the action items. Anything you need to add, Brian or? Brian? I
Nope.
see they're up.
Yep, nothing else from me.
Okay. Discussion items. Possibility of using some ARPA money for childcare needs. Bob and Allison, you have something there?
Yeah, so just tonight is the event in La Crescent with First Children's Finance. We're expecting a good turnout. And the commissioners have been talking for a while about the possibility of allocating some of the ARPA dollars to childcare needs. So we'll be thinking about that tonight. So just have that in your minds as we go through the programming tonight.
You had before the meeting, you said there's supposed to be 80 that might be attending.
Yep, we're expecting around 80 people. So we should have a good turnout.
Right, and I'll be there and. Anything else, Bob, you want to add to it or is that?
It's just a good thing to keep an open mind on as far as what's needed in the county for childcare, as far as the benefit to the working public, so that we can keep our job status, people in the counties. That's the big thing, is keep people living in the county with the source of childcare.
Well, I think one of the things I've heard from different folks is. First of all, availability of childcare, and if it is available, the cost thereof. Something that a lot of people make that decision not to work. Because by the time they pay for this and pay for 2 kids and da da da. It isn't feasible, so I think anything that can be added to the. Helping them, whatever we need to do. See if we can help out with. We'll find out more after we get through these discussions. Okay. Anything else under that issue? Moving on to the updates here. I did share with you folks a letter we got from Rawlings and so on. Believe you commented in one of the emails that the state is coming down with their fast approach or quick. You add anything else? on that?
Yeah, initially the state was officially scheduled to come down with their rapid response team to help displaced workers. Typically, the number is if 50 workers are displaced, that triggers them to come in and they have to follow all the proper procedures. I think Mikan has about 44, but they said it was close enough they would still come, but they canceled their first trip. And so I essentially have been pressuring them to reschedule, so hopefully they will. And then another thing is that we do have our Houston County Career Fair coming up on March 8th, and we have invited the workers to that. We'll have quite a few employers from the county there with some similar job openings. So it sounds like Mike and I think is open to letting, their workers attend that. So that might be another option. That's kind of where we're at.
And that's at the Crescent Event Center, I believe you said.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Oh, so Mike are they still retaining?
So Mikan is going to retain some employees, but it is not gonna be very many. I think, I'm not sure if it addressed it in the letter. I think it's around 35. So there's still gonna be about 44 people that are gonna officially lose their jobs. So ideally, we want to relocate those people in Houston County because we know we have a lot of openings and we have more openings than we have workers. So the ideal situation is to make sure they're still working here, so they hopefully live here, do other business here, on it goes. And Workforce Development Incorporated, the EDA works closely with them. They've also shared information and they have a lot of free services to help dislocated workers. So they're working with Mike as well.
It's not just Houston County employers. Right? Employers from across gonna be there, or is it just Houston?
It's mostly Houston and Fillmore County, and then when we have extra room, I think we have a couple colleges that are coming. They recently changed their name, but Reinhardt Foods usually comes, but they do a lot of business with restaurants in Houston County, so it'll be primarily Houston County businesses,
Or they have a connection here like Quick Trips.
correct?
And
So-
are there schools coming? High school kids?
Yes, so this is in partnership with the Bluff Country Collaborative, and in past years, we've done it differently. Sometimes we have just students come in the morning, just the general public come in the afternoon. But this year, the schools have, they're all doing it differently, but basically the students will get permission from their parents to attend and they'll be aware that the general public will be mingling in throughout the day. And that'll be nice because sometimes when we don't have students there, there's kind of an intermittent time when there might only be a couple job seekers, but we have about 40 businesses in the space. So there should be a steady flow all day long of people.
Can dairy farmers put flyers in for hired help?
Yeah, it's open to any business that wants to come until we're full. We have just over 20 signed up right now. I think we can have up to 45. We usually have between 35 and 40.
And go along with it, spreading the word of having this through what the paper and through.
Actually, this year, we are spending a large part of our very small advertising budget on radio advertisement. That was something that some of the businesses recommended to us last year, so we went ahead and did that. And then print, it'll also be in the paper. There's an event on social media, there's a Facebook event. So, and then Workforce Development Incorporated and the BCC are partners along with Fillmore County EDA. So all of those other organizations are also promoting the event within their areas.
So getting the word out, the main thing.
We are trying to, yes.
Thank you.
I saw the childcare. Uses.
Yeah, I think, we should have several news stations there tonight, so that'll be good coverage.
Any other thought on that, but Mike can do? That was basically a highlight of the last 2 weeks, other than we had department head, now it's the date before our last meeting. Pretty quiet in the home front for me, so guess we'll go on. Anything happening, start with Greg, anything happening? You wanna add?
Oh, I guess, I had a few meetings, we had, Wildcat. Do you wanna talk on that?
You can talk on that. Yeah,
Well,
we're
we-
having an issue there.
We're working on trying to sublease Wildcat out. We can find the right people. So that's what they're kind of working on right now, Sam and Brian, and them getting the sublease written up, so everything's in there the way we want it. If we get somebody, that's a good question.
That's, we're having a meeting next week, either Tuesday or Thursday, Monday or Thursday. I think Thursday is
Thursday work best for me.
works the best. So,
Why the change of going to a sublease?
Jake is not available this year.
Oh.
Had a family emergency and feels that he can't handle it. He has in the past. So he called and stepped down. So that was when we had a quick meeting to get things started, so we're ready in April, May. So that's why we'll be meeting again next.
Something we've talked about now turned into, let's hurry up and get.
Well, you know, yeah, and that's the thing is, to expand on Greg's talk, about credit cards and things that, like you just said about too, is we could say, well, we'd like to have this, but now with a new movement, we can put it in place. There was, 3 names indicated of possible interest, but we're finding out later if they are still really interested.
Something like that, do we have to advertise the public?
Good question, and I think we need to have Sam's input on that.
Carol shaking her head, yes, so we must have to.
But I think we need to have a plan in place before we know what we're asking.
Yes, get the sublease in place and.
Well, if we do subleasing or contracting or some type of,
Yeah, you gotta advertise for people, for bids.
Well, like that Bluebird campgrounds, they own them, they go around and sublease a lot of these campgrounds around.
and that's what's the question that came up with, and Sam was gonna investigate that with the Corps of Engineers. Okay,
And then I had a extension meeting, and that went pretty good, there was no real problems there. And let's see, I had a government meeting yesterday, got a lot of info. About a little about everything, talking highly on childcare. Put money aside for that, because everybody, like Bob commented too, these young couples need that, they're gonna have something to go with their kids, or they're gonna quit their jobs. We don't need that, you know. And then they talked about putting more money towards the road and the bridges. Trying to get internet through the whole state of Minnesota within 2 years. They got a lot of big plans, so. Guess that's about all I got.
Mr. Schultz,
I attended the Winlick Crescent, I guess, so it's Win LEC, is their abbreviation. Meeting for Dewey, because he couldn't make it, and Teresa kind of had shared that up. They had their public hearing on drafting the water jet plan. It was a pretty extensive plan that they had put together. They had probably 50-60 people there that it's public comment time for about an hour and a half. So So it was actually a pretty productive, public hearing that they had. The, board voted unanimously to approve the, packet that they had put together with the plan. They're gonna have some more, moving forward meetings with the enacted with the, DNR and Rip River and all the people that were involved in that process.
That was a 2-year project of getting that together, lots of committee meetings. But, I know Teresa had a lot of information on that.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, that was good to cover it.
Yeah, it looks like it's a good thing they got going.
That's it, Bob. Mr. Burns.
I had the collaborative meeting with the schools and I guess the biggest discussion there was funding for students that have special needs and trying to find a way to better use the dollars as far as special needs are concerned, so we don't have 3 or 4 people taking care of one child, and the cost aspect is pretty prohibitive. Had a Hiawatha Valley meeting and planning meeting last night. Interesting conversation. Hiawatha Valley owns multiple homes in Winona for people replacement. They did a remodel on one of the homes that they bought, built in the 1880s. And had subsequently been remodeled at various times. And one of the things that they needed to do was fix the bathroom. So they took the bathroom apart, and when they got it apart, the simple repair turned into a major repair. Because over the years, when they redid the bathroom, they just drilled big holes through the floor joists, and then the floor joists started to settle. So when they started to settle and crack, well, the floor wasn't even, so then they just put in layers of stuff over the top of it, adding weight, and the cracks continued to get worse, so that the simple replacement of the floor turned into a replacing the floor joists, replacing the plumbing. Then the electrical found out that it was not in tube electrical, that they had cheated on the system when you start putting the black wire to the black and the white wire to the white. They just kind of tied into it was kind of a mess. So old houses aren't all cracked up. The last thing, well,
Crack, there was
Crack.
cracks.
the last thing, I had a call from Dick Walters. Yeah. He called me about Bob Butcher Park. The Scoutmaster in Houston has an Eagle Scout looking for a project. Would like to know, and I said I'd mention this to the Parks Committee now, if the Eagle Scout could do a plan, a project to add another trail within the Bocce Park area. Cutting out the trees, creating the trail and putting the bark down. Dick said he would be happy to help lay out the corners of the park and where the property lines are and help lay out the new trail. If the board approves, the Eagle Scout doing this project, so I'm bringing that to your attention, so you're aware of what they're looking to do.
We don't have a plan yet or a drawing or any.
No, it's just a request of if the Eagle Scout could do a project in the park.
So what do we pay for it?
Maybe the materials as far as the bark. Has to be delivered, and then he'll have to take a wheelbarrow or a bobcat. Spread it around. If they're looking for an Eagle Scout project. Eric, you've been down to the canoe ramp. Is that something that an Eagle Scout project would?
That's probably the same one that wanted to do that, and we ran into a snag on who's responsible for what. It's actually US DOT land. Not US state. DOT.
Is that because of the proximity to 76 where they go over the bridge?
Yeah, probably. So, I've been talking with Bob Storley from the DNR, trying to get something going there, but everything's be nice to, I know I've been talking with Arlen Plowcrown and he wanted to get backing from us as a board to have him pursue that on his own, he could get it accomplished. I said that, I'd bring it up to you guys about, making him the point person, but we're still at the stage of figuring out who who can do what here, you know, so.
We just need approval from the various. Be it the DNR and the DOT.
Yep.
Go ahead and cut down trees, level ground, make a ramp.
Right. And I expressed to Bob Story that the DNR, it'd be the county's best interest to get this done because. Because of our sand pole pit there, it would be nice. People want to use that. That is an attraction because it's a nice ramp. It's been used many years over the years, but now it's, you know, with more rules and regulations with MSHA. It's considered a mine and people are to stay out of that area, so. But I know, I understand why they want to use it, because the DNR one that's there now is horrible, it's straight down, so. What they need to do is cut a few trees, pull back some. Soil there and make a nice gradual ramp. Put it in an angle like they did at Rushford. Yeah, they don't go straight to the river, they go at an angle to the river.
Takes away the grade.
Downflow, yeah, it helps with cleaning it out, keeping it from washing, cutting out. So, yeah, that's where it sits. I'm still in. I've been talking with Brian about it too. And working with Mr. Storley. Get something down there.
Who actually owns the area of the sand pole? Is
That's county,
that is county all the way through that area?
not just sand pole part, they got it lined with cement barricades.
Okay,
That's the line.
okay.
And then it goes down past sand pile.
So where that line is. Who owns to the
Down
to
there.
the east of that line? Where the proposed these ramp,
That's Minnesota DOT. It's in
there, right?
It's a large right of way. And they have an agreement with the DNR to have a canoe landing site there. And so. It just need to get. A deal worked out where they can make something better.
Who's first to talk to, DOT or the DNR?
Well, I talked to the DNR. I haven't talked with the DOT.
So should a person go to Rochester and talk to the district engineer?
Brian's been in contact.
He has.
You wanna wait on this and see if we do the boat landing or canoe landing, or you wanna do Bocce Park? Get that out of the way.
I think Bocce Park. That we can do right away.
Yeah, I would think so. He needs a project and that'd be something. This other one's gonna take some time here.
He'll be past his time,
Yeah.
maybe by the time we get that point, so.
Yeah.
It's basically a consensus then that we need to say,
Well-
come go ahead and get us a plan. We won't make the final decision until we have a plan. As far as finance and so on. I think,
They gotta tell us how much we gotta provide and what they're gonna do, and where the trail's gonna be.
Tell them to go ahead and research it and get us a plan and go from there.
once we see the plan, then
Well, I'll call Dick back and tell him that. Then to contact. the Park committee.
Okay.
Instead of me.
yeah, that'll work. I'll give him. I'll stay on. Okay,
Dewey was gonna back.
yeah, once please. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dewey and I met with Brian Dean on the jail saga with losing the contract and they're possibly looking at a voluntary restructure of some of their staff. Wanted to back up full time to a part time. They studied some numbers between working with meals that are provided and also this restructure. Things aren't as steep as what they initially said. So it sounded like he was gonna finalize some of that up and get back with the board.
This month, end of this month.
Yeah. And they are open to get Fillmore County wants to look at possibilities.
Already closed.
Did Fillmore take their vote yet?
Ask. I don't know, have you heard?
Say what?
Did Fillmore vote on their?
I haven't heard.
They haven't yet. I don't know if it's on their agenda.
So in your conversations with Brian, and he's listening right now, is there a possibility of, he sent that information about workers' comp and how the trouble they're having with the dispatcher. Can we combine dispatchers and just have one dispatcher?
It's possible. In fact, there's a meeting I go to next Monday, has to do with dispatching and communications. And I think Mitch from Fillmore County is their representative on that. And Dean from our department is gonna be going up, so perhaps that could be discussed.
Wasn't that brought up a few years ago?
What?
Hearing of dispatch.
Are you listening, Brian? Swinburne, Sheriff?
Yes, I'm listening. I missed part of your question though, about dispatch.
I was just asking about Fillmore and Houston sharing a dispatcher to eliminate one of the cost factors.
That's definitely a possibility. However, well, in the coming year, Fillmore County will have a different records management system than us. So that might throw a wrench in it. But if we did have the same record management system, it is definitely a possibility.
Which system do they use? Are they going to, I should say?
They're currently using LATG, the same as we do. However, they haven't, at least to my knowledge, looked into switching out of them.
Well, just a thought. Okay. Thank you.
Anything you want to add, Sheriff, about the meeting we had?
No, not about the meeting. I know me and Dean have had some talk also about the future of the nursing. Instead of ACH, possibly our public health take it over, and I also have talked to John about that real quickly. And we'll be having further discussion about that. Also, me and Dean have also talked about the meals for next year, since we'll be very down in population, what our options are there. So that's about that. Also, any concern about the Fillmore County dispatch combination? The problem also might arise that we don't have straight jail or dispatchers, we have jailer dispatchers. So that might be an issue.
You know, Brian, I remember back in the day when the sheriff lived right in the jail, didn't the sheriff's wife used to make the meals?
That's probably back in the maybe 60s, probably.
Well, that was Aunt B, didn't you?
I don't think my wife will come up and make meals though, but you can ask her.
That's not gonna be me. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Okay. That's all. Anything else?
I don't have anything. I was gone last week, and so I missed 2 of my meetings.
Okay.
But
Okay, Carol, you have anything you wanna bring up about? Audits or
Just, just to note, I've had couple of people tell me that their merchant bank credit card isn't working, so don't run out and try to use yours.
Okay. Allison, anything to add?
Well, I'm still planning on doing the EDA annual
Yeah,
report. Yep, but nothing else
Anything on
other
this
than that.
part? Okay, then we'll go back to the. Marty?
Martin here first.
Just to sign the license.
Oh, okay. All right. So Allison, you have an annual report for us.
Yes, yep. Should I dive into that?
You betcha.
Okay. So first off, I just want to say thank you for your continued partnership with CETA. As a reminder, the county contracts with CETA 3 days a week for economic development services, in addition to the 1 day a week for clicking the board services. I really enjoy getting to be the representative from CETA that here quite often, getting to serve my home county. But of course, you also have access to the greater CETA team. So thank you for your partnership. I'm going to try to keep this short so we can get our meeting done in a timely fashion. So I'm really just going to read through the annual report. There's really so much I could say about economic development, and there's so much more that we do aside from this report, but this is just a nice little summary that we put together each year that we like to share with everyone, just as a reminder of what we're doing. So in the introduction, the Houston County EDA welcomed 2022 by finishing pandemic relief related projects and returning to pre-pandemic projects, which was great. I thought it was worth noting one last time that the EDA did disperse a total of $1,554,761 in grant funds to eligible businesses during the pandemic. That was because the commissioners allocated a lot of their COVID money to businesses, and I still hear when I'm out and about on a weekly basis that businesses really appreciated that. For some of them, it got them through, so thank you for that. That was, I think, a really good thing that we did. Continued initiatives that we were able to return to this year in 2022 included helping farmers and the continued expansion of the Bluff Country Collaborative Program. New projects for 2022 included opening Houston County's only co-working space, working on expanding the Root River Bike Pedestrian Trail, and also creating that core team to address childcare needs throughout the county that you'll find out more about this evening. The Houston County EDA was involved with authoring 7 grants that were awarded in Houston County in 2022. These accomplishments, in addition to the day-to-day work of connecting with businesses and providing assistance to entrepreneurs, have set Houston County up to be a recognized leader in rural development. Thank you for your support and participation in 2022. So some of our 22 highlights, we administered 2 EDA loans in 2022. One was a loan totaling $37,500. It went to Elsie and Lee Babler and their partner, Tamiko Steele. They're owners of 111 East Grove Street in Caledonia, Minnesota. Funds were used to rehab the buildings for 3 businesses: Tamiko's Hair Salon, a vintage antique store, and a vacation Airbnb rentals. Tamiko recently, was it last Friday or the Friday before, just had a grand opening in an open house. So that was really fun to see. It looks great in there. We also administered a $15,000 loan to the Butcher LLC in Hoka. And that's a meat and deli business, and that's going well. They use the funds to purchase equipment. We currently have 13 active loans, and we do have a large pot of money available to lend out. So if you know of any businesses that are starting, expanding, creating or retaining jobs, and they have a project in mind, definitely send them my way. This year, we set our interest rate at 3.5%. Traditionally, we have been 1% below prime. But we wanted to go a little bit lower this year with the rising interest rates. So hopefully that will help out businesses that are starting and expanding, and they'll continue to want to do those things in Houston County. Then one of our big initiatives we're going to touch on is the Bluff Country Collaborative. So we continue to work on this, and it's really grown. I think it's been in existence now for maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. It's a partnership among Houston County EDA, Fillmore County EDA, area schools, including all Houston County school districts, over 100 businesses, Workforce Development Incorporated, Perkins Consortium, and the Southeast Service Cooperative. This partnership aims to create work-based learning opportunities for local students, and the effort looks to place students with local businesses for experiential learning activities, creating valuable job experiences, exposing them to career opportunities, and developing workforce pipelines for participating businesses. So this is all about educating students on opportunities right here in their own backyard and just introducing them to these things. We held our CTE, or Career and Technical Education event, in Caledonia. This is a yearly event. It's really great. It's a lot of hands-on experiences for students. We had 550 students from Houston and Fillmore County this year, and 24 businesses that participated. We continued our ambassador mentorship program for students, and each year the focus of this is a little bit different, but it's all about giving students the opportunity to see themselves in a CTE profession. They are paired with a mentor from Houston or Fillmore County that actually meets with them, tells them about their job experience. This year we focused on females in non-traditional jobs. So that was kind of cool. And then with the help of our BCC Youth Workforce Career Navigator, Marianne Smith, we set up student internships, had business speakers in classrooms, and conducted student interviews. We had 170 students from Houston and Fillmore County participate in Job Shadows in 2022. There is a typo there. I said 23, it's 22. We held the BCC Career Fair last year, but we just talked about how we're going to have that event again this year. So this year it's on March 8th at the La Crescent Area Event Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sometimes the commissioners stop in and say hi. Business is always like that. And it's open to students and the general public. So any job seeker in the area, definitely encourage them to go to that. We also raised funds and received grant funding to continue the Bluff Country Collaborative in 2023. Previously, this was solely grant funded, but recently some of our funding was cut. So we had to get a little bit creative. Each school, or most schools, contributed $2,000 each. And then we asked businesses that are partners to consider contributing. And a lot of businesses said that, well, instead of paying for an ad, online or in the newspaper, if I can get a student worker out of the BCC, that, that encourages me to give $1,000, $2,000 to the BCC. Actually, Houston County businesses alone we got about 30,000 from them this summer. So that was a challenge, but it was good. And that was very generous of them. So we have even more than we needed for 2022. And we're looking at 2023 fundraising right now. Moving on, Keep Company co-working space. So we opened Keep Company co-working space. This is Houston County's only co-working space. It's a shared space with professional resources for local businesses. We received 2 grants for the space. One grant was from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, and we were recently awarded late last year an Arlen Fault grant to continue the work and hopefully hire a student intern, a college student intern to help with the space. Oftentimes, it can be hard for startups and small business owners to afford working space and justify expenses on technical support. Additionally, many small businesses have a limited need for full-time offices, but would instead benefit from a common space in which to meet existing and prospective clients. This is a partnership between the Houston County EDA, the City of La Crescent, and the La Crescent Chamber. It's supported by all Houston County chambers and businesses in each of Houston County's communities. Matching funds were received for the project from Merchants Bank, Home Federal, ESB Bank, Community and Economic Development Associates, or CEDA, and Ascentech. The project began when the La Crescent Chamber had an opportunity to expand its current space and offered to create a co-working space for entrepreneurs on weekdays during their regular scheduled hours in their chamber space. The project aimed to add value to the space. We actually used grant funds to pay other businesses in the county to offer their services while in the space free of charge to other Houston County businesses. So it's all about Keep Company, the name. It's all about keeping businesses in our area, but also encouraging our local businesses to use the service of other businesses within Houston County. And in our first year, we had 80 people use the space. So that was not bad. We know we can do even better on our marketing and getting a potential website up and things like that. So that really wasn't too bad for the first year.
80 isn't bad.
I know, I was actually shocked when we tallied up the number from the sign-in sheet. So that was good.
Yep.
Child care project, you guys all know about this. We secured a First Children's Finance Child Care Grant valued at $42,000. We established a core team of professionals, parents, educators, government officials, and community members to help address childcare needs in our Houston County communities. We plan the Child Care Appreciation event, and we also have the Town Hall event coming up this evening. I won't get too much into that since you're going to be learning about that tonight. But the main thing is, if you are going to allocate ARPA dollars to this, we want to make sure we use the funds in the best way possible. So that's why we wanted the expertise of First Children's Finance. Almost done. Our farming initiative. So we continue to work on the Houston County Farm Initiative to help farmers try new things both on and off their farm. The EDA's goal is to get to know farmers, develop plans based on their individual interests and needs, and help them adapt so they can be accessible. We continued our partnership with Workforce Development and U of M Extension on this, and we partnered with the U of M Extension to hold the Ag Horizons workshop. I think they'll come and present the data from that at some point to you all, maybe at a commissioner meeting. So more on that to come. Root River Trail expansion. This was inspired in part by the opening of the Wagon Wheel Trail Bridge in La Crescent, Minnesota, but we put that moratorium of agreement to jointly cooperate in place. So that's currently between the county, La Crescent, Houston, and the city of Hoka. And we're working on developing the trail system between those communities, and then eventually we'd like to expand it even further. Each community and the MOA appointed 2 citizens, so we now have a citizens committee that's been meeting regularly. MnDOT, there was a grant that was already awarded. It's the MnDOT Active Transportation Program Corridor Planning Grant. The city of La Crescent is the fiscal agent for that, but that is currently in the works. And we're also seeking additional grant funding for this project as we speak. And then lastly, the Houston Area Preservation Initiative. So we worked with a Houston area group to develop the Houston Area Preservation Initiative, or HAPPY. HAPPY is officially now a 501c3 organization whose purpose is to preserve historic property for uses such as community arts, culture, history, and educational areas for residents and visitors alike. We're currently restoring and renovating 301 Maple Street in Houston. It's one of the oldest homes in Houston. It was the home of N.H. Forsyth. The Houston County EDA helped or authored a grant for that was awarded. It was a state historic legacy grant, and it's the first step of getting on the historic registry. We just completed the final report on that. Happy was the fiscal agent, which was great, and we'll be applying again for additional funding for some additional research on the project. The outcome of that was that the expert that we hired said, yes, in fact, it does qualify for the historic registry and it's in really good condition. So that should be a nice community space. There's also a possible, or there is going to be a like historic museum opening in Houston. And although it's not directly related to Happy, I think Happy will be the fiscal agent for some of those projects. So little fun stuff happening in Houston. And then our 2023 goals are really just kind of continue on with everything that we've been doing. One of the things I think we're getting better and better at are working with other various county departments. For example, for the highway department, that local road improvement grant that they applied to, I was able to help with the economic development section and help proofread that grant. We were a little bit involved with the master airport planning. We've been working with zoning on the comp plan. And then public health and human services, there's been some overlap. They've been helping with the childcare grant. And then also during COVID, we did some education for businesses with them. So it's important to work with other county departments as well. That is pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you for listening.
What's the status on the Crescent Chamber?
So the La Crescent Chamber's director, Julie, unfortunately resigned. She was wonderful, so we're sad to see her go, but they are currently seeking someone to fill that position. Right now, just volunteer chamber members are sitting in at the co-working space from time to time. It's kind of open as needed or a couple days a week right now.
Chamber has their annual meeting coming up. I hope to have in place by then. I'm not on the board anymore. I've been hearing it. I'm working.
That was a very good report.
Thank you. Been busy.
It brought up about, we talked about the river trail system. I got an email from Brian about the County 21. Try to get that extra funding for putting a trail along the highway. And his confidence on receiving that, getting that is dwindling here as time goes on because of the different makeup of the group reviewing applications. There's more of a focus on racial equity and diversity. They want to get historical disadvantaged community areas and persistent poverty tracks. And we don't have any of those in our county down here. And so, and it's very competitive grant. There hasn't been a lot of, he's talked to other engineers that have applied for this grant and then applied 13 times and haven't gotten it. So Plus, there's always the competitiveness for grants like La Crescent Trail Expansion System grants they've been getting. So they might take that into account thinking, well, you know, you guys are trying to work on a trail over here and, you know. So I think it's something we should, you know, I haven't talked to Brian yet. Still try to pursue and go for. I'd like to get some testimonials from people that use that road, you know. I know Smith's Bike Shop in La Crosse, they have a group, biking group that goes on these routes. I'd like to get a testimonial from one of them, how much they use that highway, because I know for a fact they're on it.
Able to help with that too, where I could look at it and see if there's any.
I was gonna
ideas.
ask you
Yeah.
about that too, about if there's anything that we could write up, you know, to help support it.
You mentioned LRIP, is that? You know, they did it. The DOT offers for this. Right. I think they did
Points that they're uphill.
I forgot one thing.
Sure.
When I went through the vouchers, did anybody look at the telephone costs that the county has? Between the county and the highway department. If you do that on an annual basis, we're spending over $50,000 on phone. I'd like to do a study and see if there's anything that we can eliminate. Save some costs. Seems to be an awful lot of money. Just in my opinion.
Are those cell phones or landlines? Or
There's
both?
faxes and cell phones and landline, there's. What is it, 40?
Gotta be 40.
43 lines, 43 different line items. Some are mobile, some are telephone, some are fax, some are computer. And I mean, we can't get rid of a lot of it, but are we having duplication in it that we don't need? It's worth looking at.
By all means, you know, the two-way communication, you know, we have radios in our trucks, right?
Yeah.
So. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. Good point.
Just to note that this month, or what you're looking at now, is just the Ascendec bill, which doesn't include Verizon cell phones. So there really should be some looking. Andy is working on the fax solution.
right.
We made like an initial investment in that, so those lines will go away. up until this past month, we were paying 8 cents a minute for our long distance, which they told us when we moved to the 5P system, it would be eliminated. Well, they finally got it set up within ACE so that we are no longer paying for long distance, so that number will go down. But, yeah. Between this and cell phone, we should do an analysis.
Bring that up with the finance group.
Yep.
Alright. Anything else?
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just a reminder that we got a personnel meeting after you.
Okay, and public comment, any, can come up with public comment.
Make the motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second? Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Well, I just wanna make sure.
No.